So the provincial act that gives doctors their medical monopoly says only doctors can practice medicine, and practicing medicine includes making treatment claims, and he claimed he could cure heart disease. And he wasn't shy about it. I mean, literally, he drove around with a van with big writing on the side, "I cure heart disease." Like, there was, there was no way I could go to court and convince a judge that he wasn't guilty of practicing medicine. So I had to, you know, I'm pretty tenacious when it comes to trying to defend people, so I had to come up with some other way. And so what I decided to do was actually ask the court to strike down the law as unconstitutional. Because here we have our Charter of Rights and Freedoms that says we have freedom of expression, and we've got this act saying you can't make a health claim, and the two don't mix. And so I was going to ask the court to strike down the laws violating our right to freedom of expression. And in preparing for that, I wanted to convince the judge that he was telling the truth. And it's not that I even had to do that, because we have freedom of expression to lie, but it's just psychologically, if you're a judge, you're more likely to strike down a law to protect somebody's right to tell the truth. So I asked this herbalist, I said, like, is there any way we can prove that you're telling the truth? Like, at the time, you have to understand, there was no Strauss Herb Company. It was like one shop called Natural Way Herbs. One guy, well, no, Peter was there already, but like, it's Jim Strauss. You were more likely to have tea than buy anything when you walked in there because you'd want to visit. Like, it was really mom and pop shop stuff. There's no way he had a double-blind clinical trial, you know, our gold standard of scientific evidence that's used as a weapon to kill us. So, well, it is. Science has become a weapon. It's supposed to be a tool for discovery, and it's used by a regulatory body as a weapon against us. Because you know what? If you have a serious health condition and the doctors verify it, and then you take a natural health product and you're cured, that's not evidence according to Health Canada. I mean, what do you know? So anyway, I asked this guy, is there anything we can do to prove that you're telling the truth? And he goes into the back and he brings up boxes and boxes and boxes filled with letters. And he goes, here, take this. So I go back to the office and I read all these letters, and they're all literally the same. They're people voluntarily writing in, just saying, I had serious heart disease, I was in bed, I was dying, I took your heart drops, I got well, thank you, thank you, thank you, the odd God bless you in there, thank you. Now, I can't enter those letters as evidence. That's called hearsay evidence in court. But I can call the people who wrote the letters to take the stand, take the oath, and tell their story. Health Canada says that's not evidence. In a court, that's the best evidence there is. Okay? Isn't that a disconnect? So, I read through all those letters. I started making calls. I kind of had to figure out, well, who's going to be the best witness? Who's going to stand up on the stand? Who has the best story? And I narrowed it down to 5 middle-class professionals. I deliberately chose middle-class professionals because the courts like them. And they all had the following in common. Well, credibility, right? I need to convince a judge. It's all strategy. But these people had some amazing things in common. They had all had serious heart disease. They had all had at least one open heart bypass surgery. They had all continued to have serious heart disease because the allopathic model was not addressing the cause of the clogging of the arteries. They had all needed another bypass surgery to survive. And here's where they differed, is for some of them, the medical community was not willing to give them another bypass surgery because they were not likely to survive. And for some of them, they weren't willing to go through the process again because they had just found it so awful that they actually would rather die than go through that experience again. They're all at the end of the road with the allopathic medical system, so they turn to the alternative health system. They start taking the Strauss Heartdrops, they all get well. They all go back to work, they hadn't been able to work. And, but there was one side effect, as they were all angry they'd had bypass surgeries in the first place. So just a caution, if anyone takes the Strauss Heartdrops and they've had open heart surgery, you may have a sensation of anger after a while.
Anyway, on to the good news, which is a testimonial for Strauss Heartdrops.
Ooh, good.
This is just one of those things that you will probably get a kick out of, I hope. My husband has been taking Strauss for 3 years. The first year, it was off and on, not steady. For the last 2 years, he's taken it diligently, at least twice a day. He originally had been diagnosed with high cholesterol. HDL was not good. His LDLs were not good. Everything, all of his numbers were really not good. And the doctor put him on cholesterol medicine, and he was even on blood pressure medicine. Well, I got him started on the Strauss, and after a year and a half, I said to him, I want you to go get checked again, see what your numbers are looking like, because I don't think that you really need all these other drugs if you're doing the Strauss. So let's see what your numbers look like. Well, it came back that his cholesterol had dropped. His blood pressure has normalized. He doesn't need the blood pressure medicine anymore. So
wow.
He stopped taking the blood pressure medicine. He's off the cholesterol medicine. He does have a heart murmur with a leaky valve, and they keep him on amlodipine for that, which I'm not really sure I like that either, but that's the only prescription drug he takes. And he uses that Strauss Heartdrop diligently, twice a day. Recently, the doctor told him he needed a calcium coronary score, and they did this test with an MRI, which I have not heard of before, but it was more effective for them to look at the heart with the MRI. He got his test results back, and his total calcium score is 0.
Oh, my goodness.
I have never heard of anybody having a 0.
Wow.
But it was very funny because it showed right here, it said ranking guide, your score of 0 places you in the 0th percentile rank. That means 100% of the males at the ages from 51 to 55 will have a higher calcium score than you. It is absolutely amazing. He and I were doing high fives when we got this in the mail. We were just doing high fives, high fives. We are not stopping the Strauss, and I would love to encourage other people, if you do have any kind of heart conditions or heart problems, please try the Strauss, because it has done amazing things for him. His heart is healthier than 100% of the other males his age. That is just amazing.